Very, very divided.
Got the 50-50s again. Come on. Well, we're gonna let it happen. We're gonna let it slide here because this tournament is about competitive integrity, and we want these players to show off what they've got. So we will be seeing the same leads from both players. I hope, just to make sure that we do keep that integrity. But yes, we will be restarting the game once again, and this time, Plup probably has 4 Pokemon.
Yeah, so this is a Plup going with this typical 4, but those 2 Pokemon are both really frail. And I mean, do you commit the Dynomax to the Cramorant early on? Because if you Dynamax that, then you can't Dynamax the Gastrodon, which I think is the Pokemon that you really want to beef up in this matchup. So yeah, let's see. Being able to see its items here too. You also can't just go for like the trick shenanigans as easily here. You have to worry about the Rage Powder here potentially from Butterfree. Once again, this lead creates so many mind games because your opponent always has to play around like the scariest option, but Ludwig has shown that he doesn't like just autopilot and go for the safest play. He often kind of takes a gamble in the first turn, expecting his opponent to play it super safe. And it's just a Rain Dance.
Wow, Rain Dance gonna help out a little bit for the damage that Cramorant can do here, but that is a way to start it off here, and Bird's gonna go ahead and use the Surf. We saw how much Sableye is really able to kind of take some of that damage there, and also will be able to switch out. So great start here, I think, from Plup to kick things off.
Yeah, but it is Gastrodon coming in, but if a Sleep Powder goes into that slot, that is going to be
That's
really
true.
bad. And there it is.
Oh, there it is. Wow. That's an incredible read there from Ludwig now, too. I mean, it's just amazing how in the middle of turns, you can just really see things kind of take fruition. And what looked like to be such a good move from Plup ended up actually being so much better for Ludwig. And now we'll be able to switch in their own Gastrodon or anything else here, maybe even reset the terrain. There's just so many ways that you could really play this here. And Trick Room goes off without a hitch once again.
Yeah, so, Plup had the opportunity there to go for the trick play, but that play is so risky because of the threat of Rage Powder. So Ludwig, recognizing that Plup's probably not going to go for that, like I mentioned, kind of takes a gamble there. And putting Gastrodon to sleep puts him in a really great position. And Ludwig's actually going to bring out his own Gastrodon here, so War of the Slugs. But main thing here is that Plup's Gastrodon is going to take a guaranteed first turn to sleep. A double switch out here, which is really quite smart. So Cramorant stays in and just surfs. You're just going to get a special attack boost on your own Gastrodon. And now your Torkoal is putting on pressure against the opposing Gastrodon with the Solar Beam.
Yeah, that is going to be quite a bit there. Surf, there it is. Storm Drain for both Gastrodons actually going to be able to get that special attack boost. And Torkoal, because it was able to reset that weather, is going to be able to survive this pretty healthfully. Never mind. Actually got the crit.
Yep.
Wow.
So, yeah, being able to actually dish out a ton of damage there. The key thing to note here is that for Ludwig, because he didn't bring out Rhyperior, he only has like 2 Pokemon that can really do damage, and that's Gastrodon and Torkoal. And Gastrodon's even not usually known to be like a super offensive Pokemon. We know that Plup's Gastrodon also has that Rindo Berry, so he'll survive a Solar Beam here for sure, and can potentially just retaliate back and knock out the Torkoal. So yeah, I think at this point, because Torkoal took so much damage from that crit, I think you're normally going to want to Dynamax with the Gastrodon anyway here on Ludwig's end, but yeah, like, the decision to not bring Rhyperior is smart because you're expecting the Gastrodon, but it also means that you don't have, like, your main Pokemon that you normally use to sweep through everything. And I think it can still be worth bringing in Rhyperior into this matchup, just because it can still one-shot almost everything.
Yeah, and Torkoal is there to help as a supportive Pokemon as well, so I definitely think that maybe Rhyperior would have been a better choice here. You also have the ability to maybe pop the weakness policy off of Plup's attacks, but Plup going for the Dynomax here, Torkoal using Solar Beam, and will be able to get that off in one turn because of that incredible light that's on the field right now. Solar Beam going into this Gastrodon that's asleep, and because of that berry, that Rindo Berry, they're only going to take half damage. Gastrodon firing back with an Ice Beam as well from Ludwig's side into the Cramorant, and Cramorant's still surviving that one, and will be able to shoot the Arrokuda back!
That actually does a solid amount too, yeah. Like, and the Gastrodon reveals Life Orb. But Gastrodon stays asleep on the opposing end.
Mm-hmm. Actually, when you see that animation, it's supposed to do about a quarter damage.
Right, yeah. It's just so funny to see something like that. It's not even attack, do damage, and the Surf actually will knock out the opposing Torkoal. So, I mean, a wake up there from Gastrodon would have been huge. It would have been able to get a ton of damage off against the opposing Gastrodon, and maybe get a special defense off boost as well. But here's the key thing, right? By not bringing in Rhyperior, you're stuck with Butterfree and Dusclops. Neither of those really do too much damage. And Gastrodon with the Life Orb, we see it set, doesn't have Recover either. Can't really actually heal back. So, yeah, the Dynomax on Flubstand last turn really just to, take the attacks a little bit better, basically. Does stay asleep for another turn. A wake up there would have been absolutely huge for Plup, but he's still not in a terrible position, honestly, despite Trick Room having gone up, because there is no threat of Rhyperior this time around.
I think Rhyperior would have been the play here, but Rhyperior not around, so Plup is kind of free to just do some damage, but the sleep, still asleep here. Earth Power able to go into the slot and pick up the KO while it is Dynomax, and now Ludwig is free to go for a Dynomax without the threat of Plup having one of those big Pokemon for themselves.
Yeah, those special attack boosts really coming in huge. That's the downside of going for Surf. You do boost your own Gastrodon, but you're also going to boost the opposing Gastrodon. And this is a Life Orb offensive set too, so it's able to just get a ton of damage off across the board. So that Sleep Powder connects now, and the thing is, yeah, Gastrodon's pretty much the only offensive Pokemon, but Butterfree can redirect any threats away from it, and the Cramorant is asleep, and Sableye doesn't do any damage here, and it's quite low, so you can pretty safely go for... and Ludwig actually hasn't Dynamax yet either, so...
Exactly.
He's in a phenomenal position at this point to take the game. I think, yeah, Plup needed to wake up with the Gastrodon a little bit earlier, and because it stayed asleep this entire time, effectively wasted the Dynomax, and he wasn't able to get a single, special defense boost from something like Max Quake.
Well, it's now a chance for Ludwig to use the Dynamax in free without that threat of Plup having that big Gastrodon on the other side. And Gastrodon's actually pretty fast, so we'll be able to make some moves very quickly here. But what a turn of events here. Gastrodon sitting at a pretty healthy life total as well for Ludwig's side. Gonna go with the Max Geyser right off the bat into that Sableye slot, picking up that KO, and now the Tades really have turned.
Yeah, offensive Gastrodon we don't see too often, but it makes a ton of sense on this team composition. It's been able to pick up 2 big knockouts already, and now the rain is up, you got Life Orb up, and Ludwig making the big brain play there of going for Pollen Puff, one of the newer moves that allows you to heal yourself, and that is one way to, play with the sweeper as Gastrodon. So Ludwig ended up not bringing Rhyperior, but because of the sleep turns there on the opposing side, because Plup wasn't able to really boost his own Gastrodon, I think we're going to see Ludwig take the game pretty comfortably now that he's got a boosted Gastrodon. It's got so many increased stages of special attack. Plup's already committed Dynamax. The Cramorant really can't do any damage here. It's just going to be surfing, but if you surf, you're going to, knock out your own Rhyperior, actually. So we should see Ludwig take home this first game, and really impressive adjustments. You can see that he is really comfortable with this team. I mean, we haven't really seen him bring Gastrodon. This is the first time, and he knew exactly which matchup to bring it into.
Well, something that I really like about the way Ludwig played around that is he didn't actually attack the Cramorant, and I think that's something that's particularly important because hitting Cramorant at this point, actually, it will completely, your Pokemon's going to get paralyzed. It will go off, so you definitely don't want that to happen, but the Rage Powder is going to keep the Gastrodon fairly safe here. We're going for Surf once again, but gonna be a big protect there from Rhyperior, and the Gastrodon special attack's gonna rise because of that Storm Drain.
I wonder if Max Geyser just actually knocks out Rhyperior here through a protect if it's going for it, and I hope it is going for it because I want to see. I want to say yes, honestly, but let us confirm it.
Let's confirm that is the case. A one-hit knockout with a double Storm Drain effect on that Gastrodon. Definitely takes a huge hit there. And even though Ludwig is down to two Pokemon left with the Dusclops as well as the Gastrodon, yeah, it is, we will be confirmed here that Cramorant is locked into Surf and is the last Pokemon on the field. So that was really well played there. Ludwig playing around that Gorge Bill from Cramorant really, really well here, but is going to deal the final blow.
Yeah, and I think it's tough, too, because Plup has to play around the sleep, and he wants to set up with Gastrodon, but you can't necessarily lead Gastrodon, because if you do, then it might just get put to sleep immediately. And then Ludwig made that play, that great turn 1 play there, kind of calling out Plup, saying, yeah, you're not going to go for the Rage Powder, you're not going to go for the eject button shenanigans here, and I'm just going to pick up a free sleep. So playing around sleep, I think, is one of the key things that Plup will have to try to do, but it is tough. I mean, that's why Butterfree Dusclops is kind of a disgusting combination here, and I think Ludwig's been playing it really flawlessly as well.
It's been really fun to watch. Like, I definitely really like that play. I mean, it's been the same lead every single game, Butterfree Dusclops, and it's been working without fail. So if it's not broke, don't fix it, because Ludwig's definitely not broke in the composition yet.
Yeah, so, I mean, the huge question here is maybe Plup wants to gamble a little bit this time and goes for the eject button kind of play, where you just go trick and attack with Cramorant in turn 1, yeah. But, I mean, I think, like, Plup could also say, you know what, those 4 Pokemon were bad, it's just that I fell asleep for 3 whole turns, and the Gastrodon took to sleep, and that's, like, the last Pokemon that wants to fall asleep in that position. So, in a match like that, like, if the Gastrodon wakes up even a turn earlier, could change the dynamic of the matchup completely, because not only do you get a lot of damage off against the opposing Gastrodon, but you also give yourself a special defense boost. So, I think, once again, Plup recognizing how important Gastrodon is, so great call by him there. And I think, he brought Rhyperior to maybe counter the Trick Room, but I think now that he knows that that Ludwig is going with the Gastrodon, perhaps he wants to adjust for that specifically. So if you are expecting the Gastrodon, you're more worried about that, you could bring in something like that Rotom that he has in the back.
Yeah, some adjustments might need to be made here, but we will see what happens. I definitely think that the Gastrodon was a tricky one. Ludwig was able to find the way around that, but I almost want to see the Rhyperior come back out here, just because we were talking about that a little bit, and I think it would have given a bit more just power, packed a little bit more punch from Ludwig's side of the field. In terms of Plup's adjustments, though, I feel like Plup still played that really well, given the circumstances of being put to sleep.
Yeah, I think he did everything he could have in his power, but at that point, after turn 1, you're just at mercy of when you wake up, basically. And at that point, you're literally just rolling the dice.
Well, gonna be the same leads, I think, for both players here. Cramorant and Sableye versus Dusclops and Butterfree. Oh boy.
So in this position, once again, I mean, like, if you really expect, if you want to deny the Trick Room, and you can make a hard call on Plup's end and say, you know what, I'm just gonna go get the eject button strategy off. And then that also takes away the Eviolite from Dusclops if it does go into that slot. But the downside, obviously, is if you end up targeting the Butterfree, should it go for a Rage Powder, then Butterfree is just going to be able to, even if you eject that out, Trick Room goes up once again, and then we all saw what happens when Trick Room goes up. So it's tough. There is no, I think, 100% safe play here for Plup, similar to how Toph's positioning against this lead is. And this lead is just really, really tough to go up against. Like, I think I expect to see this at a very high level in, like, the biggest VGC tournaments, and Ludwig has actually been piloting it super well. Here's the trick!
Ooh.
What do we go into?
The trick actually gonna be with the Butterfree.
Butterfree.
Wow, gonna take the Focus Sash there, but the Ice Beam now able to get the... Ooh. Wow. Switched out with the eject button, actually held on. Held on! What?
I think we all have to take a pause there. I was like, wait, how does he still have Focus Sash?
I know, that's what I was thinking, but no, the trick ended up actually stopping that. It just so happened that the Ice Beam just didn't do enough damage, and now Dusclops again going to be able to get the Trick Room up, and Rhyperior gets a free switch in.
I actually think Plup probably went for the best play there, though. I think by going for that, now you have Sableye, which has it has the Focus Sash, which means it can actually survive a single attack. But the Sableye has Will-o-wisp, right? So you could actually just burn the Rhyperior here immediately and Ludwig ended up bringing Rhyperior this time around. So if you burn that, then it will, even with the weakness policy, won't be doing that much damage, and it will pave the way for Gastrodon. So I actually think Plup went for what I think was probably the safest play. I just can't believe the Butterfree hung on with 1 HP. But yeah, switching in Rhyperior here puts you at risk of a Will-o-wisp from Sableye, and if so Plup connects with the Will-o-wisp, actually gives him a huge opportunity. Here it goes, and it connects.
Yeah, it is going to connect here, and now the Bulldoze is going to pop the weakness policy on Rhyperior, but the damage has already been done with the burn, and I don't know if this is going to be enough to knock out either Pokemon at this point.
Yeah, and once again, choosing not to Dynomax here, just opting for the Rock Slide again. With the burn, still able to knock out.
Yes, definitely still going to knock out the bird. I mean, you talked about how frail some of these Pokemon really can be on Plup's side, and it shows in this case, but the burn is here to stay. Sableye does get it knocked down to about half of its health and is going to be in striking distance of getting knocked out next turn. But what did Plup bring in the back? That's the question. And it's going to be that Gastrodon.
You know, Plup had the opportunity there to also go for the trick just to get rid of the weakness policy, but I think Will-o-wisp there is honestly fine. Here, what you can actually do is trick away the Dusclops item, get rid of the Eviolite, and then now Gastro is actually in the position that it wants to be. Neither Dusclops nor Rhyperior are actually going to do very much damage against it, and if you're able to knock out the Torkoal in the back, the Gastrodon should be able to basically solo against the rest of the team. So, yeah, I think things definitely going around better for Plup this time around. I actually really like the play that he made on that first turn. I think it is the best play he could have made out of a tough situation. And now Gastrodon can potentially put in a lot of work, especially because we can see Ludwig actually does not have a Torkoal in the back, which means he does not have a way to really one-shot the Gastrodon. So this could be absolutely huge. Get rid of the Eviolite on Dusclops, get a couple of special defense boosts, and I think Gastrodon might just be able to sweep through all of Ludwig's team.
Oh, that would be a way to go here. Maybe it was a bit of a mistake to bring the Rhyperior into this matchup because Plup just played around it so well, but Dusclops getting sent back into its Pokeball for Gastrodon, and now it's time for a Dynomax. Is this Dynomax the right time, though, for Ludwig, and will they be able to get enough damage with it? That's kind of the big question that's on everybody's minds here, as we need to see what exactly gets targeted down, and Plup still hasn't made a move yet.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, Rhyperior is basically, like, neutralized after the weakness policy and the burn, so it's still going to do a lot of damage with Max Quake, and by Max Quaking against the opposing Gastrodon, you're also increasing the special defense on both Pokemon. So, you know, it'll be able to do a fair amount of damage, but by Dynamaxing Gastrodon Plup's end, he's able to, you know, tank it a little bit better, and we know that Gastrodon has recovery, whereas Ludwig's side does not, so... yeah, I think... Oh, interesting decision to Max Guard there with Rhyperior. Let's see if Plup just went for the Max Quake into the opposing Gastrodon slot.
Yeah, we will have to... I actually kind of thought we were going to see a Max Quake there, but it is going to be the Max Guard Gastrodon going for the Max Quake into the Rhyperior, though. What a good read. We'll be able to get protected, but the Gastrodon that is there to help be a partner for Rhyperior is going to get burned in the process.
Yeah, so that does waste a turn of Dynomax on Ludwig's end, and, you know, like, given that now you only have 2 turns, even if you attack the Gastrodon this turn with your Rhyperior, the Gastrodon can just Max Guard the following turn and just stall out the Dynomax. So, let's see how much this Max Quake does. This plus an Earth Power from Gastrodon will give us some sense of how bulky the Gastrodon is, and that takes it quite nicely. It's also important to note that the Gastrodon here will get a special defense boost after Max Quaking either of these 2 Pokemon.
The special defense boost is going to be pretty big, though, because now Gastrodon's going to be able to fire back with a Max Quake of its own, but Rhyperior takes that really healthily as well.
Yeah, trading damage here, but I think Plup is probably fine with this trade-off because, you know, his Gastrodon can recover back. Let's see how much Earth Power does here. Able to take both, and Foul Play is going to come out against the Rhyperior, and that actually does a hefty amount of damage, and that's why Foul Play is a really strong move option. Another one certainly will pick up the knockout, so a nice place from Plup there. Now you have an important decision, you know, do you Max Guard the Gastrodon, predicting, like, it's really close, right? Another double up might knock out that Gastrodon. It looks like it's right around 50%, just over 50%, so it might come down to a damage roll. You could also trick away Gastrodon's Life Orb, and that will ensure that a double up probably won't knock you out unless you get crit by something. But I think Gastrodon here, it's also important to note that Plup's Gastrodon went first before Ludwig, so kind of telling of the speed tiers here. But yeah, I mean, this Gastrodon is, like I said, potentially in a position to sweep, and another Max Guard this time from Rhyperior, so Dynomax is going to end from that. And oh, nice play from Plup.
Yeah, reads that Max Guard effectively here. Goes for the Max Quake into the Gastrodon. Gastrodon takes it really well, though, on Ludwig's side, but it's still going to be that special defense boost that matters a lot for Plup's side of the field. And now Gastrodon able to fire back from Ludwig's end with that Earth Power. Doesn't get the knockout, and I think Ludwig was really hoping to get the knockout onto that Sableye.
Yeah, that's why the Max Quake special defense boost can be so huge, allowing it to survive. So Dynomax is going to end on both ends now, but I think this is more beneficial for Plup, especially because Trick remains, and now your Gastrodon can just click Recover, Sableye can just Foul Play to knock out the Rhyperior, and I just don't think there's really a great way of stopping this Gastrodon at this point. That's exactly how I wanted to see Plup play with the Gastrodon, and yeah, that's kind of the difficulty in bringing Rhyperior. Your way of beating Gastrodon, you need to Dynamax up, and you need to not be burnt, and because Plup made a really clever play turn 1, he's able to kind of weather the storm here from the Rhyperior, so really, really clever adjustments here, and I think like I can certainly see why Ludwig brought the Rhyperior. You know, in game 1, he won off multiple turns of sleep, plus the Cramorant kind of surfing to boost his own Gastrodon. He was like, Plup's probably not going to do that again. Rhyperior, if I get boosted, is just going to be able to one-shot everything. But it's a really great play here with Sableye, actually. And you know, Sableye is normally a Pokemon that doesn't stick around on the field very long. It's been out here this entire game.
Yeah, and I think that's been really telling because the foul plays have been huge. Also the tricks, also the Will-o-wisps being able to land and foul play able to move first there is going to be enough to knock out the Rhyperior. Rhyperior not able to get an attack off, and that means that Gastrodon's free to use Recover here on Plup's side, and that's going to be another healthy Gastrodon basically back up to full.
Yeah, I think Plup played perfectly with Gastrodon this game. Absolutely perfect play, and like, once again, credit to that turn 1 play. Like, it is unfortunate he didn't knock out the Butterfree, so Butterfree maybe can put something to sleep now, but it doesn't do enough damage. I guess Butterfree can also heal the Gastrodon on the partner Gastrodon, but in this trade-off, I think Plup certainly has the advantage. You can also always consider tricking to get rid of another item, but yeah, I think Ludwig might need some critical hits or a freeze or something at this point, because the Gastrodon on Plup's end is really, really difficult to take care of, and yeah, that's the thing. If you don't bring in Torkoal, which does at least threaten with that grass type attack, there's no way to really consistently knock out this Gastrodon. And Plup took care of the one main threat to that Gastrodon, which was burning the Rhyperior.
Sableye going for the Will-o-wisp, so that is going to connect. Butterfree will be able to get taken out naturally at the end of this turn, but not before it tries to get off the Sleep Powder. Will connect with Plup's Gastrodon, and now won't be able to get off and attack itself. Opposing Gastrodon's going to be fast asleep, while Ludwig's Gastrodon gets a chance to use an Ice Beam here and connects again with the Gastrodon, but look at how little damage that does.
Yeah, it's not doing much damage at all, and because of the Will-o-wisp, Butterfree is just going to faint here. That means no more potential Pollen Puffing into the Gastrodon, so I think we should see Plup actually take the second game, and I think we're going to go to a game 3. Really credits to that turn 1 play once again on Plup's end. That was a really cool adjustment. I think now, going into Game 3, Plup should expect, I think, Torkoal to come back out instead of Rhyperior. So now you have to ask yourself, all right, how am I going to play around Torkoal, especially if it chooses to Dynomax and go for Max Overgrowth? That's the next adjustment I think that's going to be on Plup's mind. But at this point, Dusclops really isn't able to do enough, especially because it does not have something to really heal up. And, yeah. I think probably a little bit more optimal for Sableye to go for a trick just to get rid of the Eviolite or the Life Orb at this point, but it just, yeah, there's no way to really beat Plup's Gastrodon unless you get a critical hit here, but no crit.
Yeah, no crit, and already going to be taking so much of its own damage as well because of the Life Orb and Nightshade also, though, onto the Gastrodon. But the burn going to be enough to knock out Ludwig's Gastrodon.
Yeah, so at least Nightshade is one of the ways you can get around the recover, or sorry, like the boosts. You will be able to just do consistent damage every turn. But I believe that's already 2 turns of sleep from Gastrodon. This will be its 3rd turn, and Nightshade's not going to knock out, so you can just keep clicking recover, and then the burn will basically stall out on Dusclops. And Dusclops is not the Pokemon you normally want to have in the late game, especially because it just doesn't do enough. You know, it supports the team, but doesn't do enough damage.
Big support, that's for sure. Dusclops, though, yeah, not even going to be able to get knockout too much here. This might spell the end. Maybe get a chance to get one more Nightshade off, but not likely.
Taking all its turns of sleep, though, you can certainly just wake up and recover here. So Ludwig probably needed 1 or 2 turns extra of sleep, and Gastrodon took all the turns of sleep already. So yeah, this recover Gastrodon is absolutely huge, and I think going into this third game, I expect at least one of Torkoal or Charizard to make a reappearance. I think you certainly need more answers against Gastrodon because Gastrodon basically 1v4s against Ludwig's team if the Rhyperior gets burned.
Mm-hmm. The Rhyperior definitely got burned. Plup just played that so expertly, and we will have to see some adjustments. I really like your thought, though, about bringing in either the Charizard or the Torkoal, and then kind of like, how does Plup really respond to that? Because Gastrodon just won't be able to take it. But there's that game, too. And now we really do have to think about what that adjustment is going to have to be from Plup, knowing that Torkoal or Charizard is going to make an appearance.
Yeah, I mean, the tricky thing here for Ludwig is he does have to play around the potential, trick play. And the thing with the trick play is I think this was cool because it shows you that you don't necessarily need to use it to get rid of a Dynomax. You can use it just to get rid of an item or get a knockout here, or just force a switch out on something that you don't want. So there are so many different plays you could consider here. I mean, Ludwig has to go back to the drawing board and ask himself what adjustments he wants to go with. I think Charizard actually is an option, but the downside is if you bring Charizard, I'm sure Ludwig's kind of seen what Plup has already. You know that there's the threat of the Rain Dance immediately. Mm-hmm. So if you switch in Torkoal, the Rain Dance can just come out and the Charizard will kind of get obliterated. So perhaps the safer option is just to go with the same Pokemon, but this time you just bring out the Torkoal again. You could also consider bringing out Rhyperior over the Gastrodon. That gives you another out, basically saying, hey, I can either sweep with the weakness policy Rhyperior, even if you deny that, Torkoal can still maybe put in some work. But yeah, it looks like Ludwig's actually debating about this Charizard, and if he brings it, it's going to be super interesting because we know that Sableye has Rain Dance.
You might have to bring both Torkoal and Charizard in that scenario, kind of just like double down onto the weather part of things, but
it's just so tough.
I don't know.
Like, you can't lead with the Torkoal because then Rain Dance cancels it, but you also can't switch it in, which is what you want to do with the Solar Charizard. So it's one of those things where I think Charizard would be like kind of cool, but just not sure it really does enough because of the threat of Rain Dance. But this is a really tricky position to be in. I mean, I think Ludwig could certainly go with Dusclops Butterfree with Torkoal and then one of Rhyperior Gastrodon in the back. But yeah, I think like Plup brought all the right Pokemon in that last match too, and I think it really comes down to how he plays with that Gastrodon. I mean, we didn't even end up seeing the last one, but he could consider bringing Arcanine as the last one, so you get the Intimidate off against the Rhyperior, and you have Snarls off against Torkoal, just to wall it a little bit more. Rotom, of course, can put in some good offensive pressure against the Gastrodon and the Rhyperior, but I think from Plup's end, he should be expecting the Torkoal to make a reappearance, so he wants to counter that a little bit more, probably.
Well, we're about to get into it. Let's see what leads happen for both of these players. Again, we're going to see the Sableye and the Bird coming out from Plup's side of the field. And on Ludwig's, we're actually seeing a switch up from the norm. It's going to be Butterfree and Torkoal hitting the field.
Yeah, but I don't know if Ludwig knows about the Rain Dance here on Sableye. You could very freely just Rain Dance and Surf here. But the thing there is if that happens, Butterfree can go for a Sleep Powder. I mean, it could be a safer play for Plup to actually maybe go for the same play where you trick away the item from the Butterfree and force the switch out. And looks like Ludwig is actually maybe trying to bait a water type attack here, which is definitely clever. But there's the Rain Dance.
Yep, there's the Rain Dance, saving Torkoal for later to be able to reset the weather. And Butterfree actually gonna I think opt to try to go for something a little bit different here, but Surf is going to go first. Good read from Ludwig getting the Gastrodon in because the Storm Drain effect is going to be able to boost up its defenses. But Butterfree, wow, takes out like a champ here. Eject button once again from Sableye.
That was actually such a smart bait there. You not only conserve the Torkoal, I mean, Torkoal's getting knocked out there if you stay in.
Yep.
But you give yourself a special attack boost. You make sure that now you don't have to worry about the eject button shenanigans, and you get to put the Gastrodon, or sorry, the one of these two Pokemon to sleep. So Sleep Powder's coming out. It is going to target the Cramorant, and now with that asleep, you can just safely Sleep Powder every turn. So Ludwig not going for the Trick Room route this game, but really smart adjustment there. I mean, one way Plup could have gotten around that was by going for the same trick play. You go for Trick and Ice Beam, and there you basically force the Butterfree out, and then go from there. But I think definitely worried about something like a Heat Wave or an Eruption just knocking out the Sableye. So great bait there by Ludwig. Really clever play.
I'm just really tickled at the fact the fish is still moving in Bird's mouth.
I think Butterfree now is just going to be content to put Sleep Powder on the opposing Butterfree, or sorry, the Gastrodon, and now you just start going for damage, and yeah, Sleep Powder does not miss there. Come down to how quickly these Pokemon wake up, and now this is a +1 Gastrodon. It's going to be doing so much damage, and this might just be able to sweep through Plup's team, especially if Plup doesn't get an early wake up with his Gastrodon.
Oh, I like that the animation actually still goes off even though Cramorant is asleep. All the things that we're learning about Cramorant today, how amazing. But yeah, the Ice Beam not going to be enough to pick up the knockout onto Cramorant, but it does come down to whether or not these Pokemon are going to be able to wake up here. And I think it kind of in this situation, Plup really wants them to kind of be able to get some damage done. Dusclops switching in now for the Butterfree, and oh man, it's asleep. Gastrodon's getting his Ice Band.
Ludwig's actually been aggressively targeting down the Cramorant, and I think if you just Earth Power the Gastrodon twice there, you probably honestly just win the game. This gives Gastrodon an opportunity to wake up, and it wakes up! And it stockpiles, that's huge for Plup.
That is going to be huge. That's going to make it outlast so much big damage here. Defense and special defense going to get the boost because it wasn't able to get it from Storm Drain from the Cramorant. That is huge. That's definitely huge for Plup.
Yeah, I mean, now you can just Max Quake multiple times, and even a Charizard and as Rhyperior actually ends up coming out as well.
What?
So, absolutely huge wake up there. I think Gastrodon here probably is going to want to consider Dynamaxing at this point, and you know, you can't just go for normally like a single target special attack into that Rhyperior, Let's Water, so something like Scald. But we actually see that Ludwig's carrying that Muddy Water. That is one of the ways around Storm Drain here. But yeah, I think an absolutely critical wake up there for Plup, and this Gastrodon now might be able to actually put in some defensive work. It has to worry about Torkoal, obviously, in the back, which we know exists, but you get like 1 or 2 special defense boost off, suddenly you're at, you know, like with Max Quake, if you go for like 2 Max Quakes, and you have the stockpile boost, you're like +3 special defense with the Rindo Berry. So it's going to come down to how Ludwig plays late game against this Gastrodon. The other big question here is maybe does Rhyperior get a flinch off potentially against either of these Pokemon? We saw that actually has that Life Orb item, so maybe a high horsepower can actually do a ton of damage to Ludwig's Gastrodon here.
Life Orb is such an interesting tech because, like, I feel like every single team right now needs to have a Life Orb. It's just a matter of what Pokemon do you actually put that Life Orb on, and it's really interesting to me that Plup decided to go for the Life Orb on the Rhyperior specifically.
Yeah,
because
Dynomax is Rhyperior.
Yeah,
okay.
Wow. And then going for a Max Knuckle here. Max Knuckle going to connect with the Gastrodon, and Gastrodon
knocks out with the Life Orb. Wow, was that a crit? Not even. It doesn't look like.
No, I think it just did the damage.
Oh my goodness, that is so strong. That's, yeah, clearly a very offensive Gastrodon. I really wasn't sure if that was going to knock out or not. And, you know, now this Gastrodon is sitting at +1 special defense. Trigger will finally go up, but once again, Ludwig has 1 offensive Pokemon there. And yeah, actually, that was because of the defense boost from the defense drop from the bird, enabling the Max Knuckle to knock out the Gastrodon. That's so sick. That was such a clever play by Plup.
That was a couple turns that Plup had to set that up too.
I've never seen Cramorant just put in so much work here, even passively. So, I mean, you probably have to Dynamax the Torkoal now, but and you go for the Max Overgrowth probably onto the Rhyperior. I think you really need to knock out the Rhyperior, but Rhyperior so easily could Max Guard that, and Gastrodon could just Earth Power the Torkoal. And if you're able to, you know, stall out and get some good damage off against Torkoal. Like, it's Torkoal against the world right now. That's the main theme. The upside for Plup is that, for Ludwig is that Max Overgrowth should be one-shotting, I think, both of these. But let's see. He looks like Ludwig's reading the Protect here from the Gastrodon. So if Gastrodon doesn't, or if Rhyperior does not Protect, and it knocks out Torkoal, that'll probably just be the game. This is a huge, huge swing.
A huge swing. Torkoal going for the Dynamax here, which means we're probably going to see something like a Max Overgrowth come out very quickly. And it comes down to the target though.
No Protect from the Rhyperior. There's no Max Guard there.
There's no Max Guard, which means that Rhyperior is going for an attack, and even with the Rindo Berry, is this Max Overgrowth actually going to be able to knock it out? And no, it's not.
If that's a double up into the Torkoal, that should just be game. Wow, Plup made such a nice play with the Rhyperior Dynamaxing and the Max Knuckling, as a Memento is actually the move there from Dusclops. Okay, well, that will mean that this Torkoal will probably survive a double up, but now you're down to your last 2 Pokemon.
Yeah, that's such a sacrifice. Such a sacrifice to have to make. Gastrodon going for another stockpile, so it's going to be a stockpile of 2 now. Defense and special defense both boosted once again, and a Max Quake coming in from the Rhyperior into the Torkoal slot. Is that enough? The Memento, yes. It will be able to survive at least one attack here. But man, oh man, that special defense is getting higher and higher for both of these Pokemon, bringing them out of KO range.
Yeah, this is a +3 Gastrodon. That being said, I think Max Overgrowth should definitely knock out Gastrodon. I would be shocked if Rhyperior survived. I mean, it is. Rhyperior is one of the tankiest Pokemon in the format, so Butterfree's going to come out, but Butterfree is actually going to be the slowest Pokemon now with Trick Room being up. So Rhyperior at +1 special defense, Gastrodon at +3 after the stockpile. The main thing here is that Torkoal can only target one Pokemon. I think you pretty much have to go for the Rage Powder here. So Rhyperior can either choose the Max Guard or just go for a Rock Fall. We get to know Gastrodon doesn't have a way to protect, but I think like Plup can just overwhelm with offense right now, because then you can just protect the Rhyperior on the last turn should it not get targeted down. So let's see who the Torkoal targets. Butterfree's gonna go for the Rage Powder. This is so intense.
This has to be a Hail Mary here. Max Overgrowth is going to come out from that Torkoal. It's going to target down the Gastrodon once again without the Rindo Berry, and with those special defense boosts, not going to be enough to save it, so it is going to get knocked out, but the Rhyperior still has a chance to fire back. Right?
Yeah, and the main thing here is that this next turn is the last turn of Dynomax, and there's no more Sun anymore, so as soon as you stall out the Dynomax, you can't do any damage to the Rhyperior anymore with Solar Beam, because Solar Beam takes 2 turns to charge up. That actually might have just been the game here for Plup here. You know, by targeting, I think Ludwig was definitely expecting some protects there from Rhyperior this entire time, and Plup made some really nice moves, not protecting it either turn, and the Memento certainly decreased its attack, but I think Rhyperior should just be able to win against Torkoal. All you have to do this next turn is just go for Max Guard, and Plup still has another Pokemon to bring out. And Sableye here, you know, could potentially get rid of an item, but at this point you just have to, yeah, I'd say just stall out the Dynomax here, and then you win.
Well, I'm on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, you always, I think, well, what you can actually do is you can target the Sableye with Max Flare to reset the weather here, but he just goes for Max Overgrowth. There wasn't a protect either from Rhyperior.
Oh my god, is that going to be enough?
Oh, no!
He gets a knockout!
You didn't protect the Rhyperior!
Plup!
Oh my god. I think you always protect Rhyperior there, but oh, that's...
Feels so bad.
That's not Solid Rock, too. I think Ludwig wins now, actually. This was... I think the Rhyperior had Protect, too. I'm pretty sure we saw it. I mean, it was a Life Orb set, so if you have Protect there, I think you always go for it. The reason to not protect there, if you're making a hard read saying that the Torkoal was going to target down the
Sableye
slot. But I think,
wow.
Attack, I feel like Torkoal's probably getting knocked out. It was really close.
That was so close.
A guaranteed win condition, I think, for Plup, but that was an insane game.
What an intense set.
Ludwig's gonna pull it off, and he's gonna move on to top 4. Are you serious? Wow. That was crazy. I mean, both players made insane adjustments. That turn 1 bait from Ludwig, Plup getting the wake up of Gastrodon. I think what also could have been a game changer was the second stockpile didn't really provide too much. In that position, he had the opportunity to maybe just go for an Earth Power, but that was such a good set. I mean, I'm really impressed. I think both players honestly made phenomenal plays. Like, I'm not sure I would have even played those sets too differently from what they brought. So, yeah, incredible showing by both players. I don't know if we have seen Protect on Rhyperior. If he had it, I think that was probably still the most optimal play, but I think what Plup might have been afraid of was -2 horsepower not knocking out and Ludwig resetting the weather by going for a Max Flare there onto the Sableye. But
a little bit of a 50-50 to kind of decide what to do in that scenario. But man, did we see some expert gameplay from both of them. All of these sets have been really close.
Yeah, this pool was insane. Pool B was stacked. We obviously saw some great play from Pool A, but man, it felt like all 4 players in this pool were super prepared for this tournament.
Well, that's going to be Ludwig moving on with hugs to beat Zane and Isam in this top 4 cut. Like, what a great show.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I think we'll be taking a short break very briefly, but yeah, that was such a fun set. Shout outs to Plup, man. Like, he came with like a really cool team, and he nearly made it out of groups with it, and I thought he played near perfect with it too. I just really wanted we wanted to know if the Rapier had Protect there. But like I said, even if Plup protects there, it's not necessarily like a guaranteed win because there's a decent chance that Max Flare will knock out the Sableye, and then Solar Beam will knock out Rhyperior afterwards, and High Horsepower doesn't knock out the Torkoal. But that's so tough. That was insane third game, and an insane set.
Yeah, really, commiserations there to Plup and Toph. I mean, that was just such a incredible gameplay coming out from both of those players. But that's gonna be all she wrote for them in this tournament. It's gonna be Ludwig and Hugs. Moving on, what an intense pool so far, and I can't believe we have got Top Cut coming up after this.